All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners, and specifically, I want to talk about hodling. I want to go through all the Bitcoin miners' hodl position, hodl strategies. We're also going to do a monthly update, talk about everybody's Bitcoin mining production for the month of November. We're just about a week away from getting December results. I have high expectations for December results, but first I want to recap all of what everybody did in November. And then we'll take a quick look at Bitcoin itself. Yesterday, the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners had a very good day. Today, so far this morning, as I'm making this video, the Bitcoin miners are all in the red after a gigantic green up day yesterday. So we'll take a look at those charts as well. So let's get to it. Let's talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. By the way, I want to thank everybody. Yesterday, we hit 16,000 subscribers on the channel, so that is much appreciated. Thanks to all the subscribers. If you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing. And of course, everybody, if you could please smash the like button. We're going for 500 likes on this video. It really does help the video out a lot, and it helps the channel out a lot as well. Okay, let's start with November Bitcoin mining production before we get to hodling. So we're just about 1 week away from finding out what these companies did in the month of December. The fees that the Bitcoin miners collected in December, I think, is going to have a pretty dramatic impact on their operational reports. So I think we're going to see some really good numbers in December. I'm expecting almost every single one of these top 10 miners in December to do better than they did in November and maybe have one of their best months of the year, but time will tell. We're just about a week, like I said, away from finding that information out. So before we do that, let's just take a quick look back and see what they did in November. Marathon mined the most Bitcoin every single month of the year in the year 2023. They will mine the most in December as well. So from start to finish, wire to wire, they were in first place. There were some big changes. While a lot of this list remained the same, there were a few big movers. We'll go through those. So Marathon was in first. They're still in first. CleanSpark was in second place this month. They've been in second place almost every month of the year in 2023. They mined 666 Bitcoin in November. RIOT, which is a company I've been keeping my eye on, I think they've been underperforming from a Bitcoin production standpoint throughout the year. However, they have been making improvements, particularly in the last 2 months. This is one I'm really going to have my eye on for December. I would really like to see them mine over 600 Bitcoin. I think they should be well over 600 Bitcoin, potentially even making a run at, 650 or 700, but we'll see what happens. In the meantime, they did mine 552 in November. That was a big step in the right direction. That was up significantly from their October numbers with essentially the same amount of exahash. So that did move them up from number 4 to number 3. Okay, Cypher mined 433 Bitcoin. That moved them from 5 up to 4. BitDeer mined 403 Bitcoin. They had a pretty significant drop off in Bitcoin. They dropped off about 70 Bitcoin from the previous month. They really did not give an explanation for that. BitDeer, is relatively new to our world. They just went public this year, so they're still settling in, and some of these numbers are a little bit hard to explain. So that did drop them from 3rd place overall last month to 5th place overall this month. Then Bitfarms comes in at 6th place at 392. They've been in 6th place for a while, so very consistent performance this year. Okay, the big mover by far on this list is HUT. HUT was in 13th place last month with just over 100 Bitcoin mined. As you guys know, their mining operations were pretty rough for most of the year 2023. However, their merger went through, so they are now a bigger company. They now drastically increased their exahash, and you're going to see they went from maybe 110 or 120 mined last month to 390 this month. So that is a gigantic improvement. It jumps them from 13th place back into the top 10 at 7th place. And then 8, 9, and 10 were basically 7, 8, and 9 last month. And those only fell one spot because HUT jumped up due to the merger. So Iris Energy finished in 8th with 369. TerraWolf finished in 9th with 323. Hive finished in 10th with 276. And just as a point of reference, there is a big drop off. Stronghold finished in 11th place with 193, and then it just goes down from there. It is worth mentioning on this chart, I've added Core Scientific. They are in Chapter 11 where they were all year this year. They will be coming out of Chapter 11 imminently. So they mined 954 Bitcoin self-mining. That would have put them in 2nd place. Once they come out of Chapter 11 and they're listed on the NASDAQ again, I will include them in the top 10. So it's likely that next month they could be in second place overall. So I've had them on the sidelines, but it looks like they're about to be relisted on the NASDAQ and come out of Chapter 11. So just a note, that's going to affect next year's rankings for sure. Okay, now I want to get to what I was really here to talk about. I want to talk about everybody's HODL position, and there's a couple of companies in specific I want to talk about their HODL strategy that I have my eye on. We are getting very near the halving. We're just about 4 months away from the halving right now. I think even less than that. So there's not a lot of time for these companies to build up their HODL position. Obviously, at the halving, the reward gets cut in half, so that's going to make it significantly more difficult to add amounts to your HODL position. So I've been saying I think it's important for the companies that are trying to get Bitcoin on their balance sheet. These final months are precious. This is a golden opportunity to add to your HODL position. You're going to see one company that's dedicated themselves to significantly increasing their HODL position. Okay, so in first place is Marathon. They are now over 14,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. That is by far the largest. So they've been in first place all year this year. So the question in December is going to be, how much are these companies able to add to their HODL position? Bitcoin has been at a sustained price of between 40 and 44,000 throughout the entire month of December. That is much, much higher than the rest of the year. So I would think, in addition to that, the fees are up dramatically in December, allowing these companies, in theory, to mine more Bitcoin. So there should be an opportunity for some of these companies to add to their HODL position. So that's what I'm really going to be looking at in the December operational updates, which again should start coming out next week. Okay, in number 2 is HUT. They are over 9,129. So they have been solidly in second place all year, every single month of the year. And number 3 is RIOT at 7,358 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So those top 3, those were 1, 2, and 3 every single month of the year in 2023. That did not change at all. And you're going to see those 3 have separated themselves from the rest of the entire pack. There's a significant drop-off to get to number 4. Okay, at number 4 is CleanSpark at 2,575 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Now, for most of the last year plus, CleanSpark was hovering at around 500 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So they shifted their philosophy. They went about 3 months hodling almost all of their Bitcoin. I'm going to dig into that a little more in detail after I finish looking at the list. So they switched their strategy for a few months, increased up to 2,500 Bitcoin, and now, last month, they switched back and sold most of their Bitcoin. So I will be interested to see, what did they do in December? Did they go back to trying to add to this HODL position? At one point, it looked like they were on a clear path to get to maybe 5,000 or 6,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and that would really elevate them up to these top 3. Still, it would leave them in 4th, but they would be in the same ballpark. So I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that now, having taken a couple of months where they sold the vast majority of the Bitcoin that they mined. We'll see if they switch strategies. Okay, Hive is back on the list. Hive, for some reason that I cannot explain, went 2 months without reporting their HODL position. So I did have to take them off the list because they didn't tell us how much they HODLed. That piece of missing information was disturbing to me. They have now reported that. I really thought last month's Hive operational update provided some information that I was looking for, and they gave several other press releases over the last 45 days that have helped clarify the position over at Hive. And now we know they're at 1,627 Bitcoin as of November. That is down. They were up around 2,500 Bitcoin 3 or 4 months ago. So in those months that they weren't reporting, they were spending some of their Bitcoin. I personally would have preferred that they just reported that to us and told us what's going on. I always think it's better to give investors information, even though their Bitcoin HODL position was going down. As an investor, if you don't know, you have to worry and wonder, did they spend all their Bitcoin? You're left in the dark. So in any event, they are now reporting that they're at 1,627. They put out a press release specifically addressing what their HODL strategy is going to be between now and the halving. So I want to go through that as well. Okay, then in 6th place is Bitfarms. Bitfarms has been HODLing a few Bitcoin each month. It looks like they should be able to get over 1,000 prior to the halving. So they are slowly improving. And once the halving hits, I think for the rest of the year 2024, it's going to be very difficult to significantly change the amount of Bitcoin that you have on your balance sheet. With the reward cut in half, it will be increasingly difficult to HODL additional Bitcoin. There's a lot of people that think that Bitcoin miners who sell all their Bitcoin and don't hold any of them, they don't even consider them true Bitcoin miners. So tell us your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about some of these companies? And some of them are decent sized companies. Iris, TerraWolf, BitDeer, Cypher we see is not adding much. What do you think about some of these companies that don't really have a hodl strategy and they just sell their Bitcoin? Okay, now I want to get to a couple of companies in specific. Okay, I want to start out by talking about Hive. They put out a press release this morning. This is a follow-up to a press release they put out a few days ago. Hive Digital announces closing of $28.75 million bought deal private placement financing to hodl our Bitcoin production and expand green mining footprint. So I want to go down, that's their headline. I want to go down one line in specific because this is extremely on point with what we're talking about. Okay, they come right out and say, Hive also anticipates being able to hodl all its Bitcoin until the upcoming halving. So with this private placement, with this money that they raised, they plan on doing a lot of things. They've announced buying some machines, but here they're telling us in specific, they are now going to hodl between now and the halving. So that should allow them to add maybe at least 1,000 Bitcoin to their balance sheet if they stick to what they're talking about here. So again, they were in 5th place. This should put them solidly in that top 5. So we'll keep our eye on this, but they're pretty crystal clear here in my opinion. It looks like they're intending to add maybe 1,000 or 1,500 Bitcoin to their balance sheet between now and the halving. Okay, the other company I want to talk about is CleanSpark. So this is CleanSpark's September operational report. So this was a few months ago. If we go down to September Bitcoin mining update and they give a bullet point list here, you're going to see they mined 643 Bitcoin in that month, but total Bitcoin sold in September was 80. So this was one of several months in a row where they held and hodled the vast majority of the Bitcoin that they mined. So it looked like this is what they were going to do. I believe they did this 3 months in a row. So it looked like they were on a pace to add 500 Bitcoin a month to their balance sheet between now and the halving, which would have put them at least at 5,000, if not more, by the halving. However, if we fast forward to the next month, October 2023 Bitcoin mining update, you'll see in October they mined 633 Bitcoin, but they sold 562 Bitcoin. So they still did add a few to their hodl position, but this was a dramatic change from what they had done in the 3 previous months. Now, I don't know if they needed the money to fund operations and growth, or if they just felt that with the gigantic run-up in Bitcoin's price, they wanted to start selling some of that, and they thought that was prudent. More than any other company, CleanSpark has changed their strategy based on what the price action of Bitcoin is. So they've now gone October and November of selling the majority of their Bitcoin. So I will be very interested to see what do they do in December. I'm expecting them to have their best month of the year in December. So we're going to see, are they going to start to add to that hodl position again? Or are they going to continue to sell the majority of their Bitcoin? Now, they still did add to their hodl position in both of those months, but there's a big difference between adding 50 Bitcoin to your hodl position and 500 Bitcoin to your hodl position on a monthly basis. And just to go back to that chart, you're going to see CleanSpark and Hive, the two we just went through, they are in 4th and 5th place, so it does make a difference. Both of these companies stand a chance at, adding a significant amount to their hodl position. It will still leave them in 4th or 5th, but these 5 companies are really the only ones with a significant hodl position. If things play out between the next year or year and a half, we'll take out our previous all-time high and we'll see what the next all-time high is in this new cycle. So, if Bitcoin were to get up to 150,000 or potentially more than that, having 14 or 15,000 Bitcoin on your balance sheet is going to make a big difference to the stock price. So that's what's going on with Bitcoin and specifically the Bitcoin miners. Hopefully you guys found this useful. Please drop in the comments any thoughts or questions. Also, please remember, if you enjoy this content, if you want to help the channel, please remember to smash the like button and you can subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a video. Thanks again, and we will see you in the next video.